So we'll start with our motivation. So today we had a guest speaker at the Abbey who talked about date rape or acquaintance rape and gave a most amazing analysis of the whole situation and how what is strange gets normalized and ignored. And so she spoke about the victim and the perpetrator, the surrounding group of friends, and then the bystanders. And when you look at each of those people, you see how all their minds are completely obscured by ignorance and by craving. So this is what the Buddha told us, that ignorance is the root of samsara. Craving is the prime example of what keeps samsara going. And so in the whole situation that she analyzed so accurately and so horrifyingly in one way, we can see just how obscured sentient beings' minds are, and how that ignorance and how that craving damages others, damages ourselves, creates the cause for future unfortunate rebirths. And how this is especially done under the illusion of having fun, having a good time, because she described it in terms of college students and their parties. So it exists in so many areas of our life, this pattern of people acting in ways that are harmful and nobody calling it out for what it is because nobody really sees it for what it is. And it's just said to be the way things are, or how to have a good time, or whatever. So as Buddhist practitioners, we have a special take on this situation. Enlarging our perspective to really see minds totally obscured by ignorance and craving, totally pushed by ignorance and craving and past karma, and creating more and more karma for more and more unfortunate rebirths. And so being able to look at this whole situation, which is very much like Chandrakirti's analogy of the bucket and the well, the 6 analogies of that bucket, being able to look at it with compassion and with wisdom, being able to see through the obscurations that are present in everyone's mind. And so in that way, generate compassion and the wish that all of us be free from our obscurations and our karma, and the determination to do as much as we can to bring that about by, first of all, becoming Buddhas ourselves. So with this motivation, we listen to the Dharma this evening. So did you see some connection between the bucket and the well and what Patricia was talking about? And how amazing it is that we can't see things for what they are. And we call it by some other name. And it just perpetuates harm. So I imagine that probably a lot of us are thinking about what she said and thinking of our own past experiences. And when we were in maybe the victim role or the perpetrator role or the surrounding friends role or the bystander role, and really trying to look at all those things in an accurate, truthful way, according to what our motivation really was. And also to realize how influenced we are by society, and how when the whole society sees something, her analysis of what happens at the parties is just, society sees it one way, and so everybody goes along with that way, but it's not that at all. It's something completely different. It's like the emperor in his new clothes. Society's feeding us a lie, we're feeding other people a lie, and we all believe it together. And it takes a lot of courage to call it for what it is, and to see how we've been befuddled and misled and done dumb, stupid things. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I was thinking a lot today about the dumb, stupid things I did, and how I was really quite fortunate in many ways. Yeah. But then, you see it from this big picture of samsara and being controlled by ignorance and afflictions and karma, and then the whole thing, the whole dynamic makes more sense. How completely twisted it is makes the fact that it's completely twisted makes more sense when you think that everybody in it is under the control of afflictions and karma. Otherwise, when you think these are reasonable, normal people, then you can't figure out why that whole, what did you call it, systemic what?
Systematic.
Systematic perpetration, was that? How otherwise it's hard to understand how that whole system of systemic, I think, systemic perpetration, how it's imbued in a whole system, a whole way of looking at something that everybody buys into, and to see how much courage it takes to say, no, it doesn't exist as it appears. And this is just on a conventional level. We're not even talking inherent existence, but how difficult it is on a conventional level. Yeah? To look at it truthfully and realistically.
I think what I was most struck with and sobered by is how confusing craving, how craving confuses the mind. Mm-hmm. The simplest thing is going to the casting couch, and the craving for the career, the craving for the attention, the craving for the success, and the price of that I'm willing to pay to what point. It's all craving.
Yeah.
And it completely distorts the mind. So, and certainly in the party situation, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see all the minds are filled with craving.
Right.
Yeah, because everybody partakes in that whole scene in one way or another, reinforcing it. Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at some of the political dynamics in a political thing, or you see a country being drawn and carried away by some ideology, as the more people that get on board with the erroneous mistake, the more power it has, the more validation it has. I mean, we've seen genocides because people have this kind of erroneous, everybody agrees to what we think is reality, and then look what happens.
Yeah.
And the othering, the part that Patricia was talking about is when we start othering each other, then the justification on how we treat each other really gets terrifying.
Yeah. How difficult it is to stand up in the situation. Because I was thinking of different situations that I was in, maybe when I was a bystander or a friend in the situation. And how do you step in without stepping on, how do you intercede without stepping on people's toes? Because people can be very defensive. Don't tell me what to do. What I'm doing is okay. I'm not harming anybody. Nobody's harming me. I'm in charge here. And we're deluding ourselves. And so how can you be to a friend to somebody who responds like that? Difficult. And then maybe sometimes we're that person and somebody's trying to talk some sense into us and we're just dismissing them. Okay, should we go back to So, this thing we had last week, I just want to touch on a few things that we had before, about the mind to which an object appears but is not ascertained. And the way Lati Rinpoche said, it's a type of direct perceiver set forth separately within the sevenfold division of awareness and knowers. To emphasize that not all direct perceivers are minds which realize their objects. On the other hand, the definition, and this could be a difference between different monasteries, different ikcha, the definition of a direct perceiver is a non-mistaken cognizer that is free from conception. Yeah, so if you don't ascertain the object, it's certainly not a valid, it's not a reliable cognizer. Can we say it's a non-mistaken cognizer? Yeah?
It seems that they identify two types of mistakes.
Two types of what?
Mistakes.
In the Sutra school, it seems like they identify two types of mistakes. One is, from a conceptual point of view, you're realizing the object through the medium of a generic image.
Yeah.
And then with a non-conceptual wrong consciousness, there's a mistake in the basis or the object. Or, those
but one is mistake and one is erroneous.
Well, that's what I'm saying. From a Sutra school point of view, those are the two that they identify.
Yeah, but they usually use different terms. Or I at least try and use different terms. That when you're seeing things through a conceptual thing, that's mistaken. Yeah, but when you're seeing White Snow Mountain is blue, that's erroneous. That's wrong.
Yes, and it's also included under mistaken consciousness for the Sutra school.
Yeah, but still is a cognizer that doesn't ascertain its object. Is that unmistaken? Yeah?
It's not even ascertaining the object, but it's not mistakenly.
ascertaining its object.
Yeah, it's not mistakenly, but is it non-mistaken? So, yeah. So, I don't know. It's just a little bit puzzling to me. Yeah. Anyway, I thought I'd point that out. I'm puzzled by it. Yeah?
I worked on this week, and what I understand is that the sevenfold presentation is not all-inclusive of all types of consciousnesses.
Correct.
And it's actually talking about the object of engagement. And so when then they have the division into three, there's the
three what?
In the division into seven, that's one way they divide it up.
Yeah.
But later in the book, they divide mind into three. And in that time,
What are those three?
The three are, it's relating now, instead of to the object of engagement, which is what you kind of comprehend and understand or whatever, it's talking about the appearing object. And this is where they fully explain seeing a double moon or seeing the white snow mountain as blue. And that it's the third category of that, which is a mistaken, non-conceptual, I guess you would call it a wrong consciousness. And so what happens there is that you actually have a clear appearance of a non-existent. This is how they describe it in Mind in Tibetan Buddhism.
Okay. Could you maybe...
I wrote it all up, and I can send it to you.
Right. Or give me the photocopy of the pages in the book.
I typed them out. I just didn't send it because I didn't know we were going to go into this.
Yeah, and send it to me because that would be easier.
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of need to know what are those three categories. And yeah. Okay. But anyway, this is just something I was thinking about, It directly perceives something that it doesn't ascertain. It sounds funny. Yeah, it sounds funny. Okay. Anyway, I just thought I would bring that up. Then something that we read last week. We're talking about the generally characterized phenomena, and the definition was a phenomena that is merely imputed by a term or thought consciousness and is not established as a specifically characterized phenomena. Okay, so that's referring to impermanent things. Now, isn't the I an impermanent phenomena? Yes. Isn't the I, even in the Sutra school, an imputed existent? So, generally characterized as synonymous with permanent. Okay? But it's interesting that the I is impermanent, but it's also imputed by term or thought consciousness. Okay, but it doesn't fit the second part of the definition and is not established by as a specifically characterized phenomena. But I was thinking, even according to the sutra, the Sautantrikas, there's a difference between being imputed and merely imputed. Okay? And so the I is imputed. And here, what imputed means is that in order to perceive the I, you have to perceive something else, such as the body and mind. Okay? Merely imputed, according to this school, means that the mind has created it in some way by conceiving and imputing it. So they would say the I is imputed in the first sense, but not in the second sense. Yeah.
Are you saying that it needs a physical basis?
No, I'm saying that to know the I, you need to perceive something else. that could be the body. It could also be the mind. It could be the speech. You need to perceive something that enables you to identify the presence of a person there. It doesn't have to be their body. Okay, so there's different meanings of imputed in different contexts and according to different schools.
So the actually conventionally existent I would be imputed, but the non-existent, inherently existent I would be merely imputed.
Yeah, according to this school, right?
Okay,
but no, they wouldn't even say it's merely imputed, the non-existent one, because the things that they're saying are merely imputed are permanent phenomena, and that here they're negating a self-sufficient I. That is a non-existent. Okay, so they wouldn't even say it's a merely imputed phenomenon because it's not a phenomenon. Okay, it's a non-existent. Okay, so you have to be careful. Sometimes people say, well, there's existent phenomena and there's non-existent phenomena. No. No, if it's non-existent, it is not a phenomenon.
Does merely imputed then applied? So like in the school, non-associated compositional?
No, because the I is an abstract composite.
An abstract composite.
That's what I call non-associated compositional factors because it's shorter to say. And the I, time, words, many things are those abstract composites. They are imputed because in order to know them, you have to perceive something else. But they are not merely imputed in the sense that non-composite space is. They're not permanent phenomena. Okay.
Okay, I have to think about that. Because I was asked because the second part of the definition is not established as a specifically characterized phenomenon. So that could cover that.
Right, that covers it. Yeah. But I was just pointing out this whole thing of different meanings of the word imputed, even according to one school. Okay? And there's different meanings of imputed existence in this school. There's various meanings of substantially existent in this school. Yeah, so it can get confusing. That's all I wanted to point out. Okay. So if we go, let's just keep reading from there. Generally characterized phenomena are not established by way of their own character, but must be imputed by a thought consciousness or by a term such as non-cow. Therefore, they are mere imputations. Okay, this does not mean that they do not exist, but that they are not established from their own side. So, by not established from their own side, it means they're non-established from their own side means that you need a conceptual consciousness to impute them. Yeah, but those things are still truly existent. Okay? So, not as, all these words can have different meanings in different situations. Okay. Once again, whereas an impermanent phenomenon, such as a chair or a table, might possibly be understood by thought, every permanent phenomena can only be understood by thought. So that the Prasangikas shoot down. And here's where you see something really radical about what the Prasangikas are saying, is, first of all, this school is saying, there's some things that exist from their own side, something that makes them really them, and then there's some things that just exist because our mind imputes them. Prasangikas say, no, the whole kit and caboodle exists by mere imputation. Okay, that's one big difference. Second big difference is this school says that permanent phenomena can only be known by conceptual minds. Prasangikas say, no, they can be known by direct perceivers without the means of a conceptual appearance. Yeah. So that's another really big difference you can see between the two schools. Okay. It is essential to understand this point that every permanent phenomena can only be understood by thought, and chairs and tables can be understood either directly or by thought. Okay. Because this idea is such a prominent player in all that is going on. This system's description of impermanent things, impermanent phenomena, and the consciousnesses that have access to these existence may or may not be accurate. They're refuted by other schools, but the descriptions presented here, as well as in other recommended sources, are accurate representations of the system. So he's saying the system itself may be accurate or not, but this description of what they believe is accurate. According to this system, that serves as a basis for the introduction to Buddhist reasoning and debate. We are able to apprehend an impermanent object directly and nakedly, to see it in all of its individual and specific characteristics with direct perception. However, we do not have this sort of access to permanent phenomena, for we can understand them only conceptually, that is, by thought or through reference to them by a term. We can understand them, but we cannot observe them directly. Okay, Prasangikas contradict this. For the Buddhists at all levels, this presents something of a problem, because thought, and of course terminology, meaning names for things, as well, are always representational rather than authentic. The sound chair is nothing you can sit in. Thank you. I won't try sitting in one. The problem with a representational understanding is that what you are observing, an internal image, and what you are understanding, the object, are not the same. Even if you are thinking about an internal image. Thus, what the proponents of the Sutra school following reasoning are saying is that when we understand an object by thought, be it permanent or impermanent, we understand it in a general way because we don't see the thing directly. We see a representation of the thing. Conceptuality, our thoughts, may be right or wrong, but they are always obscured from seeing their objects of understanding directly. Okay, more on this later. Okay, so let's just talk about that a little bit. Okay, when we talk about conceptual appearances, which sometimes are translated as meaning generalities or sound generalities or generic images. There's many different ways to translate the term, okay? But the idea is that it's an image in our mind that is representing the general object, okay? So if we think of today's lunch. Okay? So there was spaghetti, right? If we think of the spaghetti, we're not seeing the spaghetti directly. We're having a general image in our mind of, because we looked at that spaghetti in many different ways and many different times during lunch. Okay? Yeah? So sometimes we looked at it as the long, flat noodles. Sometimes we were focused on it with the sauce on top. Sometimes focused on it, that the sauce had big lumps of tomatoes in it. We saw it, many different aspects of it with our eyes and our taste buds and everything else. But when we're remembering it, we're putting together all that specific information and coming up with a general appearance to our mind. Okay? So it doesn't have the same specificity as, as a specifically characterized phenomena. Okay? And it isn't the actual phenomena. So like you said here, we can't, when we visualize the spaghetti, we may start salivating, we may get hungry, but there's nothing to eat there. Okay? Yeah. So in the same way, when you're meditating and you remember something somebody said to you 15 years ago and you're starting to get really mad at that person, or you're starting to fall in love with them all over again because you remember something they said to you 15 years ago, that is just an image, okay, that is created in the mind. It has, it's generating emotion behind it, but the actual object is not there. Yeah? And so there's some confusion in our mind about the image and the actual object because we're reacting to the image, getting angry or getting full of desire as if it were the actual object, but it's not. Okay? So this is why, this school considers conceptual consciousness as mistaken. Yeah? And Prasangikas say they're also mistaken for that reason. However, that doesn't mean that all conceptual consciousnesses are antithetical to the Dharma. Okay? Of course, to realize emptiness directly, we don't want conceptual consciousnesses. They have to be banished. But to get to the point where we see emptiness directly with a yogic mental consciousness, to get to that point, we have to use conceptual minds. Right now, in class, we are using conceptual minds. Yeah? You're hearing the sound of my voice. That's a direct perceiver. But in understanding the meaning, putting the pieces together, forming an idea in your mind about what we're talking about, that's all conceptual consciousness. Yeah? So even though it's mistaken in that it's not perceiving the object directly, it's still very useful. And in the case of realizing emptiness, it's essential in order to understand what emptiness is. Otherwise, we sit there and say emptiness, 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 and what in the world does that refer to? Yeah? And then we get confused. Oh, it's like the emptiness of my bank account. It's like the emptiness of my stomach. Yeah? It's like, means non-existent. Well, no, it doesn't mean non-existent, totally non-existent. Okay, so we have to use words, conceptual consciousnesses, conceptual appearances to begin to get an idea what emptiness is. And then it's through the union of serenity and insight, on a correct understanding of emptiness that we're able to break through that conceptual appearance and perceive it directly. Okay, so this is kind of at the heart. You may have heard about the great debate at Samye that took place at the end of the 8th century. And the Tibetans talk about it all the time. In terms, I've asked some of my Chinese friends if this debate is recorded in Chinese history. No, they never heard of it. Okay? But in Tibetan history, they love telling this story. Okay? So, there was one monk. Actually, there was a whole lot of Chinese monks that stayed in Tibet. Yeah. And, but apparently there was one, and they call him Hashang, yeah, which is the Tibetan way of saying, what is it? Shrashang Mohya. What it meant, the term means is Mahayana abbot. So he doesn't have an actual name. He just has a title, Mahayana abbot. Yeah. And so apparently he was saying, good conceptions, bad conceptions, they all have to be banished. Just as clouds, whether they're white or whether they're black, they all obscure the sky. So you have to get rid of all of them. Okay? And so Shantarakshita, who was the one who brought the the ordination to Tibet and who started Samye monastery, he said his disciple Kamalashila would come and debate with Hashang. And sure enough, he came. They had this big debate. The king said that Kamalashila won. I hope it was an intelligent king. I don't know why they leave it to kings to judge this kind of things, because kings sometimes are not so smart. Yeah, but anyway, they have authority. So, and so apparently he was banished. He had to go back to China, but he forgot one shoe in Tibet, and so that means that this wrong view still kind of hangs out here and there in Tibet. Okay? So, so it was a big thing. And so to this day, you find people who are saying, if you want to realize the ultimate truth, you just banish all conceptual minds. That's all. Just get rid of conceptual minds. Yeah. And you can see that if you can get rid of conceptual minds, boy, your mind is a whole lot more peaceful. Yeah, it's much more peaceful rather than having all this chatter going on. But the thing that's deceptive about it is you may think you have realized the ultimate truth, but all you've done is gotten rid of the noisy mind. Okay, so that's why Tsongkhapa talks about this again and again and again and again. Kind of don't think like that. Okay. Oh, so then I also wanted to mention something else, which is related but also a little bit off of the topic. Because remember when we were talking about some of this with Jeffrey, we were commenting that the word general and specific, or general and particular, they come in many different contexts and they seem to mean many different things. And so we were quite befuddled about generality and if generalities are permanent or impermanent. So I found the answer. Okay, Okay. So, the word generality in general is permanent, okay? But something, because you have the word generality and then you have everything that is a generality. And remember that those are two different things. Yeah. So the generality knowledge objects, for example, is permanent. However, not all generalities are permanent. Some people, here it's saying, some people confuse meaning generality with generality and may mistakenly think that because meaning generalities are permanent, so are all generalities. However, a generality that exclusively has impermanent phenomena, impermanent particulars, is impermanent. For example, pot. So here we have it. Okay? So the generality pot, which is like the category in which you can include all pots, since all your pots are impermanent, then that generality pot is also impermanent. Yeah. In the generality knowledge object, since knowledge objects have both permanent and impermanent phenomena in it, then the category itself is considered permanent, but all of its particulars, some are permanent, some are impermanent. Is it related to this topic? What's it related to?
The conceptual mind.
Okay.
And is it the same as discursive thought?
Discursive thought is conceptual mind, but not all conceptual mind is discursive thought. Okay, let's go through that. Let's go through it, okay? What's a conceptual mind and a discursive thought?
Attachment.
Yeah. Okay, thinking about,
Lunch.
thinking about lunch with attachment, okay? What is a conceptual mind that is not discursive thought?
Inferential.
Yeah, inferential understanding of emptiness, or even at our level, thinking about emptiness and trying to understand it. What is a discursive thought but not a conceptual mind? There isn't something. There isn't something. And what is neither a conceptual thought nor a discursive mind? A direct perceiver. A direct perceiver. Okay? Okay, so that's generality. After all of that confusion,
Description, did you say that the generic image is permanent and that's why we're not trying to apply that to other things? It was very quick. So you were talking about generalities, but not everything that is a generality is permanent. Generality is permanent, but not everything that is a generality is impermanent.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but what it said here is
what did it say about meaning generality?
Okay, is that some people confuse meaning generality with generality and think that the two are the same, and they aren't. Okay? And the way they confuse them is, meaning generality, what I'm translating as conceptual appearance, the system says is permanent, but generality itself may be permanent or impermanent. So that was the,
He says, referring to permanent phenomena, he says, we can only understand them conceptually, that is, by thought or through reference to them by a term. So are thoughts only understood by other thoughts and thus conceptual?
Yeah, thoughts are conceptual minds.
Yeah, but they're only understood conceptually by another thought.
Yeah, can you see it, a thought, with your eyes?
No.
Can you know them with your ears or your nose or tongue?
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
So then there you go.
So then he says here, we are able to apprehend impermanent objects directly and nakedly. Thoughts are impermanent.
Where? Who says? Where are you quoting? I don't have page numbers.
It's 3 paragraphs after the general characterized phenomena definition.
1, 2. That starts out according to this system?
Right.
Okay.
So the end of that same sentence.
We are able to apprehend an impermanent phenomena directly and nakedly, to see it in all of its individual and specific characteristics with direct perception. Okay?
And so a thought is an impermanent phenomena.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, you could probably say a yogic direct perceiver, somebody with the divine eye can directly perceive thoughts. Yeah, well, a thought is a mental consciousness. Yeah, and there has to be, we would definitely say that another mental consciousness could perceive that mental consciousness. Of course, how that works in meditation, you have to, get down to your direct perceiving mental consciousness. Yeah.
Otherwise, we're generally
we're thinking about thoughts.
We're conceptual. We have a general
our discussion
image of
right now, we're conceptualizing about thoughts.
Yeah,
Okay.
but there is the possibility of seeing them directly if you have a yogic direct perceiver.
Yeah, the divine eye
Or divine eye. Yeah.
would be that. Okay.
It's just it seemed to make it fall under his statements, falling in with the permanent phenomena when I know it's momentary.
Yeah. Okay. Again, specifically characterized phenomena are mutually inclusive with impermanent phenomena, and generally characterized phenomena are mutually inclusive with permanent phenomena. Thus, they compare to the other phenomena in the same way as described above. That clear with everybody? Okay. Now, until now, we've been dividing the selfless into two categories, and one side, they're all synonymous or equivalent, and this side is all equivalent. Now we're getting into a division of the selfless where it doesn't fit into that. Yeah.
Would it be existence that are being divided, not selfless? Existence are being divided in permanent and impermanent.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sorry. It's existence. Okay. So the division of existence into hidden phenomena and manifest phenomena. So the division of existence into hidden phenomena and manifest phenomena is a very unusual sort of division, for all manifest phenomena are also hidden phenomena. Okay. This is according to this school. His Holiness talks about it differently, but according to this school. As you may recall from above, all existence are hidden phenomena, but manifest phenomena are equated with impermanent phenomena. Thus, all manifest phenomena are hidden phenomena, but not all hidden phenomena are manifest phenomena. Okay. A hidden phenomena is described as an object realized in a hidden manner by a thought consciousness apprehending it. The point of this, sorry, my thing bounces around. The point of this is that any existent, permanent or impermanent, that is understood by a thought consciousness has to be understood in a hidden manner, in a representational way by means of the appearance of an internal image. Okay? So all hidden phenomena are understood by conceptual appearances. Okay? A manifest phenomena is defined as an object explicitly realized by a direct, reliable cognizer. Okay? So let's just pause here. We'll get into explicit and implicit in a minute. Okay? So here it's saying that all manifest phenomena are hidden phenomena, but not all hidden phenomena are manifest phenomena. So let's go through the points. What is both a hidden and a manifest? The table. Why?
The table is both because it's apprehended by a direct, valid cognizer and also by a conceptual consciousness.
Okay. then what is a hidden phenomena but not a manifest phenomena?
Thinking about the color blue.
So you're saying you can't just say thinking about the color blue. You have to say a conceptual appearance of the color blue. Okay. So why is that a hidden phenomena and not a manifest phenomena? The conceptual appearance of blue.
Because it's only known to thought.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be known to a direct perceiver. Well, maybe I don't understand this right. I guess it could be known to a yogic direct perceiver.
No, we're talking about the color blue. Yeah, the conceptual appearance of the color blue. Yeah, is known by a conceptual consciousness. It's not known directly.
Right.
Okay.
That's how I started, but then I realized that if I had a yogic direct perceiver, I could see that. And then
No, you would be seeing the consciousness to which that conceptual appearance appears.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you wouldn't be seeing that conceptual appearance. Okay. Then how about what is a manifest phenomena that is not a hidden phenomena? There's no such thing. Why not?
Because every phenomena is a hidden phenomenon.
Yeah, because every phenomena can be perceived by thought. Okay? And then what is neither a hidden phenomena nor a manifest phenomena?
Sky flower.
Yeah, a non-existent, sky flower. Okay? Your idea of the person you hate. That is a non-existent. The conceptual appearance of that exists, but what you are conceiving is non-existent. Okay, why is it non-existent?
Because it's exaggerated.
Yeah, because it's exaggerated. Yeah. Okay.
And that last one was what kind of can be only
This
can't be a
manifest. No. What is neither manifest nor hidden? Yeah, that's when we said the sky flower. Okay. Okay. Then the definition specifies that a manifest phenomena is one explicitly realized by a direct perceiver. This is opposed to an object implicitly realized by a direct perceiver. The distinction arises from the assertion that whatever is known by a consciousness does not necessarily have to appear to it. Now that sounds weird, doesn't it? That you can know something that doesn't appear. Okay? But here, what they give the example, for instance, a mental, and this is according only to this school. For instance, a mental direct perceiver developed through concentration and meditative insight may know the selflessness of the person. Okay? However, that selflessness does not appear explicitly to the directly perceiving consciousness. Rather, that direct perceiver explicitly observes the mind and body as empty of a self of persons and implicitly knows selflessness. Remember that this system says, though not all Buddhist tenet systems agree, that only impermanent phenomena may appear to a direct perceiver and permanent phenomena do not. Okay? So selflessness in this system is a permanent phenomena, but it is known implicitly to a direct perceiver. Thus, and because the definition of a manifest phenomena which is, it has to be known explicitly. Okay. Thus, the definition of a manifest phenomena specifies that it is an object explicitly realized by a direct perceiver. Yet, a manifest phenomena is a hidden phenomena as well, because when it is understood by a thought consciousness, it is understood in a hidden manner. Okay, so the way this school says that you realize emptiness is you meditate, let's say on the four establishments of emptiness or on the aggregates, the body and mind. And you refine your concentration to the point where you can see every little, impermanent. You can see the impermanence, but remember the impermanence is an abstract composite, so it's known by seeing something else, which is the subtle changes in the body and mind. And so seeing the subtle changes in the body and mind, then you see that it's not possible for there to be a substantial self. Okay? So within something like the body and mind that's constantly changing like that, there is no possibility for a substantial self. So what is being seen explicitly and directly are the aggregates, and implicitly what's known is they do not have a substantial self. Okay? So what would be an analogy? You look at, if we look at the plant, I don't know how this would work. Implicit. If we look at the plant, do we implicitly know there's no elephant there? Yeah? Mm-hmm. You see a plant in that space, then, you must know that there's no elephant in that space.
We're describing that, and you were saying that maybe they see the subtle changes in the body and mind. Mm-hmm. You're not saying that they're seeing subtle impermanence.
They are seeing subtle impermanence.
Then what I don't get...
But they're seeing that because, the object, you wouldn't say is subtle impermanence. The object is the body and mind changing so quickly. In a body and mind that are changing so quickly, how can you have a substantial self?
Yeah, that part I understand. What confuses me here is that this system says that to see subtle impermanence, you have to have a yogic direct perceiver.
Yeah.
But to have a yogic direct perceiver, you have to have the union of calm abiding and special insight on emptiness.
No, yogic direct perceivers could be on other objects besides emptiness. They can be on subtle impermanence.
Okay, that's what I didn't know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I thought then, you'd have to realize emptiness before you realize subtle impermanence then.
No.
You started this off saying that His Holiness describes this differently. Was he describing Prasangika?
Yeah, His Holiness, when we were talking about it, the way I understood it is that something is an evident phenomena. We were using evident rather than manifest. That just calling something evident, and then here, he was taking it and it's divided into slightly obscure and very obscure. Instead, we use obscure instead of hidden. Okay, so not just plain old evident and obscure, but evident, slightly obscure, and very obscure. Okay, and so it has to do when we talk about it generally, it might fit this way of thinking. But you also have to talk about it with respect to a specific individual, because, when I'm here in this room, the Buddha statue is an evident phenomena. Yeah, but when I'm not in this room and you are describing to me what the Buddha statue looks like and where it is and everything, it's, to me personally at that time, it's not evident. I'm knowing it through an example, through a description.
So with this system, if someone is able to get the concentration to see the subtle changes in the aggregates, it's the aggregates that they're actually seeing explicitly. Even the changes are implicit, right? Because of seeing the difference.
Well, no.
Conceptually seeing the difference between one moment and the next of the...
No. Because, remember, abstract composites, they're a type of impermanent phenomena. But to know them, you have to perceive something else. So one of the impermanence itself, subtle impermanence itself, is an abstract composite. So to know it, you have to see the change in something. Okay, but when you see that change in something, you are, with a yogic direct perceiver, you are directly perceiving subtle impermanence. Okay, you're not thinking about it.
So you're seeing it explicitly.
Yeah.
This meditation I've done on the four establishments, and it does make you start to think like, how could there be a self in this? Because you spend so much time looking at these four things. I mean, there's nothing else there but your body and your mind, and that's all you're doing for months. But I don't think, and I had some sense of like, well, where could there be a self in this? I mean, you just watch your feelings and you watch these things for that long. But I don't really know that I ever thought about it. It's because I'm watching these things change. I'm just watching these things. And it's kind of like you're looking at a pile of rubble and you look at it all day long and you keep looking through it and I'm not watching it change. I'm just thinking, hey, there's nothing there that looks like a diamond.
Right. Right. But what it's getting at is the way you're looking at the aggregates with when you have that deep concentration. You're not just seeing the pile of rubble, you're also seeing its subtle impermanence and knowing that there's no self there.
I'm having a hard time finding the distinction between a yogic direct perceiver that realizes subtle impermanence of the aggregates and a yogic direct perceiver that realizes the selflessness of the person.
They have different objects. One, the object is impermanence. The other, the object is the aggregates, which are empty of a self.
The aggregates. Okay, I thought you said the aggregates which were changing moment to moment. And so
yeah, but on the basis of the aggregates that are changing moment to moment, you see that there's no possibility for a self to exist in there. So then you're seeing the aggregates without a self.
Okay, I still have a hard time understanding the distinction for this school then, if we're talking about like the subtle impermanence of the person. Or the selflessness of the person.
Yeah, well, they're different.
How
are they different?
Yeah.
Because the subtle impermanence of the person is seeing that the person doesn't exist in the very next moment.
But it's an abstract composite, so you'd have to see that on the basis of the aggregates.
Yes, and you see the aggregates changing moment by moment, and on the basis of the aggregates, you see the person. The aggregates are changing moment by moment. The person is changing moment by moment. And that's the subtle impermanence of the person. Okay? So the subtle impermanence, the impermanence is an abstract composite. Selflessness in this system is a permanent phenomena. Okay? So that's why...
Which is seen implicitly.
The impermanence is seen explicitly, but the selflessness is known implicitly. Because what is explicitly known is the aggregates that are free of a self.
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay. And I'm trying to understand. So in that, when you're understanding selflessness, you're focusing on the aggregates that are changing moment by moment. So what's the, I don't see the difference between the lack of a self-sufficient, substantial existent self and the lack of a permanent self, or the impermanence of the self.
Right. Yeah. Well, a permanent self is one that doesn't change moment by moment. Yeah. A substantial self is something that is the self. Yeah. Or for this school, how do you?
I can bring that next week.
Huh?
I found the answer to this finally. This is what we started off with Jeffrey.
You found the answer to what?
Remember when we were talking with Jeffrey about what does substantial mean?
Yeah.
It has three meanings in this school.
Right. Yeah, I have that too, but not all there's different meanings for substantial in this school in different circumstances. Yeah, and the self-sufficient, substantially existent self doesn't fall exactly under substantial self. It's quite confusing. Yeah. But anyway, a substantial self, let's go back to a permanent, partless, independent self, Okay, so for sure you're seeing that there's no permanent, partless, independent self. Yeah, you're not. Yeah. When you're seeing the aggregates that are empty of self, yeah, you're seeing that there's no permanent, partless, independent self in the aggregates. Okay? Knowing that the aggregates are impermanent helps you to know that there's no self in there. But they're different understandings. In the same way, if you think with prasangika, okay, the meaning of impermanent, if something inherently existent, it could not be impermanent, it would have to be permanent. But being permanent is not the meaning of inherent existence. Okay? So it's the same thing here, impermanent is not the meaning of, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's not easy. Not easy. Yeah.
I have a much more fundamental stupid question. If a direct perceiver explicitly observes the mind and the body, but if a direct perceiver is a sense consciousness, what is it?
No, you can have a mental, that under direct perceivers, there's sense consciousness, mental consciousness, and yogic direct perceivers.
But so when an ordinary person can have a direct perception of their own mind, that's what I'm trying to get at. What is appearing when we say when they have a direct perceiver of your own mind?
When you're meditating, for example, on the conventional nature of the mind, that which is clear and aware, you have one moment of mind that is the subject and another moment of mind that is the object.
And this is still a direct perception.
Yeah.
Self-knowing. Okay.
Well, yeah, they get into the whole thing of self-knowers, but I was forgetting about that. Yeah, because wrong reg is a whole other ballgame. Okay. Where are we? Okay. This odd division is once again showcasing the consciousnesses that perceive objects. Anything and everything that exists may be known in a hidden manner by a thought consciousness or be designated by a term. Only manifest phenomena may be known explicitly by a direct perceiver. Saying that a manifest phenomena may be known explicitly by a direct perceiver only allows for the possibility that it might be known by a direct perceiver, for it might be known by a thought as well. You can go into your room and look at your bed, feel it, and so on. or you can just think about it and know it in a general representative way. And so that's why I gave you that assignment to really, before you eat, think, look at what the image is in your mind about how that food is going to taste. And then taste the food. And then what's the difference between having an image in your mind and tasting the food? Yeah, and it's true that the image and the taste are usually very different. But watch it on a cognitive level. What's the difference between knowing something, even if they were the same? What's the difference between knowing it through a conception and knowing it directly?
One is very clear and one is not clear.
Yeah. And so know that through your own experience. Okay? When you look at this, okay, look at the handle of this. Okay, everybody looking at the handle? Okay, now close your eyes and remember what it looks like. Okay, what's the difference between those two?
There's a vivid appearance with your eyes.
It's a very vivid appearance with your eyes, isn't it? How about when you're just remembering it? You just saw it a moment ago, so it's quite clear. Not so much detail. When you see it, you see, look, it has one dent here, one dent there. It goes down here and this, and the light shines off of it here and there and there. But when you close your eyes, do you have that much detail in it? No.
You could if you looked at it a lot and really familiarized.
Yeah. Right. But still, what's the difference in having a mental image and seeing it with your eyes? Yeah. Yeah. It's not as clear. It's not as vivid. You don't have... You can only know this with your eyes by being very close to it. Even if you looked at all the details very explicitly for a long time and can form a perfect image of it, you could do that in another room. Yeah. Yeah, because it has to be directly with your eye. Okay. And then you'll notice, even if you, got it really clear when, it just isn't as vivid when you close your eyes, is it?
Or stable. Stable, yeah. If I start to think about a certain detail on it, size changes for me.
Yeah. Okay, now listen to the gong. And remember what it sounded like. Are those different? They're quite different, aren't they? Knowing it through a conceptual appearance of the sound and actually hearing it are very different.
What I find fascinating from my own mind is that the visual and then the conceptual image of a visual is stronger, but when you start getting into conceptual smells, tastes, sounds, and touches, there's something very different in how, maybe it's just because I'm so visual, but it's a lot less, it's harder for me to have a conceptual thought of the taste of pizza than to remember that handle. Whether some people are more auditorily, maybe conceptually they pick up sound more clearly, or the taste or touch. But my vision is very strong with the mental.
Yeah.
Sound is not.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering also how come our conceptual image of something in different days. Like when we're in retreat, some days it's quite pretty vivid.
Yeah.
Other days it's like, where did it go? Or I can't get it. What is influencing that?
Yeah, just the clarity or obscuration of the mind that day, and the level of concentration we have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be quite different.
yeah, it'd be very, very different. Not our mind is not stable. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that we say we know the object. You know, you hold up the handle, you see the handle, you close your eyes. We say we still see the handle, but aren't we seeing an image that our mind generates?
That's where we get into, there's two objects. We get into what's called the apprehended object, or the observed object, or is it engaged object? Might be, I can't remember what an engaged object is because I use different terminology. But I use apprehended object, is the object that you're actually perceiving, or observed object. And then the appearing object is for conceptual consciousnesses. And that's what's appearing to the mind. No. When the appearing object is what is in a conceptual mind, what is appearing is the conceptual appearance. And the actual object that you're perceiving is the apprehended object or the observed object. Yeah. No, not conceived object. No, conceived object is something else, because a direct perceiver does not have a conceived object. Okay. Are you?
She's talking about thinking those.
What are you talking about?
Your mind generates an image of the object. You're no longer directly perceiving.
Right. So the appearing object is that image that you're perceiving. If you have a conceptual appearance of pizza, pizza is your observed object or apprehended object. Okay?
Pizza that exists in actuality.
No, it could be a pizza. I mean, if I'm looking at this, okay, for my visual consciousness, this is the apprehended object. There's no appearing object. Okay? Oh, no, there is. Wait. Yeah, the appearing object is this. So they're the same. Sorry. For a conceptual appearance, this is still, if I close my eyes and I remember what the gong looks like, the gong is my apprehended object, but the appearing object is my conceptual appearance of the gong. So I'm knowing the gong via a conceptual appearance. Okay?
Yeah, that's one way to look at it, right?
That's the way we're looking at it.
But the other way could be like, you're just seeing an image. You're no longer seeing the object.
That's the point. That's why we say that the conceptual appearances are, they're fuzzy, they're not accurate. You can't eat a conceptual appearance of a pizza. Yeah, so they're quite different than the apprehended object.
The way that I perceive, the way that it makes sense to me that I've thought of in the past is in looking at my son's face or my husband's face that I see on a daily basis many times, and they're real. But when I close my eyes, can I really see that face?
Yeah.
I really can't.
Yeah. And if you see it, but when you're seeing it directly, sometimes it's smiling, sometimes it's sad. You see it in different lights. Sometimes it looks tired, sometimes alert. But when you have a conceptual appearance, it's kind of a mixture of all those different things. Yeah, unless you say particularly, I'm going to visualize his face when it looks tired. Then you switch it and it becomes tired face. But if you just say, I'm going to visualize, my child's face, it's not particular to, because he has many different faces according to if he just, hit a home run or failed the test. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's just finish this section. Hidden phenomena and manifest phenomena compare as 3P, including something that is neither. Both hidden phenomena and manifest phenomena compare to the selfless as 3P, without anything that is neither. So the first one we did, hidden and manifest, we already did. Okay, let's do hidden phenomena compared to selfless. So, what is that? Is there something that's both hidden and selfless? What? Just say something. The computer. Okay. What is selfless but not hidden? Okay. What is hidden but not selfless? It's nothing. What is neither hidden nor selfless? Nothing. Okay. Okay, hidden phenomena are mutually inclusive with existence and all of its companions because all phenomena that exist can be perceived by thought. Manifest phenomena are mutually inclusive with impermanent phenomena and all of its companions. Okay. And then any particular impermanent phenomena, like a rock, okay, is 3P with both. Okay, so what? So go through the rock. What's the rock and manifest and hidden phenomena? What's both? No, rock. What is both a rock and a hidden phenomena? Yeah, a brown rock. Okay. What is a rock but not a hidden phenomena? Nothing. What is a hidden phenomena but not a rock? A lamp. What is neither a hidden phenomena nor a rock? A what? Sky flowers. Okay. Okay. Any particular permanent phenomena like nirvana is 3P with hidden phenomena and mutually exclusive with manifest phenomena. Both are 4P with definition and so on. Okay. Okay, do nirvana with hidden phenomena. What is both nirvana and a hidden phenomena?
The nirvana of an arhat.
And the nirvana of an arhat. What is nirvana but not a hidden phenomena? Nothing. What is a hidden phenomena but not nirvana?
The rock.
The rock, samsara. What is neither nirvana nor a hidden phenomena?
Inherently existent self.
Yeah, an inherently existent self. Okay. Okay. Then the next thing is non-existent, but let's do that next week. Actually, next week, next Thursday, I'm having cataract surgery. So if you would lead it, and then go back to what you were doing before with the definitions and the little kind of debate, questioning each other to learn all the definitions. Okay? And if you get tired of that, you can start this. Otherwise, yeah. Actually, we have some more definitions here of permanent, of manifest and hidden, and of generalized and specifically. So there's more definitions here to learn and to see what they are, yeah, and to compare them.